Okay, good morning, students. In few lectures, we are studying different ways of study of comparative mathematics, and in that topic, we have learned so far anatomical schematic method, then keynote methods, and yesterday we have studied picture method of study of comparative mathematics. And we were discussing merits and demerits of this picture method. So today I will again discuss about the merit, demerit. So yesterday we have studied that this picture method is a very good method to understand the image of a person, image of a patient, essence of a patient. Now this word essence is mentioned in the aphorism number 7 of totality of symptoms. So we must understand the essence of the patient, and if we want to match this essence of patient with a remedy, we must be knowing essence of remedy. And this picture type of study are very good to understand the essence of a remedy. Then this picture type of study of comparative mathematics also gives us the evolution of remedy. This evolution of remedy is nothing but evolution of remedies as per the different age groups. So, for example, if we see the books like Portrait of Comparative Remedies by Catherine Coulter, there is one drug, Calcarea carp, Calcarea carp, and under that Calcarea carp, Catherine Coulter describes how is a Calcarea carp child, how is a Calcarea carp adolescent, how is a Calcarea carp adult person, how is a Calcarea carp male, how is a Calcarea carp female, how is a Calcarea carp old age person. So in this way, we also get the evolutions of the various mathematics, or this evolution can be also understood like the person or the remedy in a healthy state and a remedy in a disease state. So these are all merits of this picture method, and in the few demerits we have learned that usually the bias of the author comes about a specific drug. So every person, on the basis of his or her own experience, try to emphasize on one particular aspect of remedy, and in that description something is missing, some hidden part is unknown aspect remains to be emphasized. And because of this bias, what happens if we read this few drug picture methods, we will get only to know the common presentations, but the rare presentations, the uncommon presentations, the uncommon facets of the remedy are not properly explained. And, this is the reason why, along with the bias, this picture method also has the disadvantage or demerit of remaining incompleteness. Then the second demerit is they have this picture type of study of mathematics usually overlook particular symptom, because their only objective is to treat or to create an image of a whole person in the reader's mind, how that remedy will behave in health, how that remedy will walk, how that remedy will talk, how that remedy will behave in the society, how that remedy will behave in the house, how that remedy will behave at the level of work. So their objective is to give a complete picture, and this picture method is usually the follower of Keynesian school of philosophy, which always emphasize more on the general symptom. So yesterday, I think Akshare madam has taken you this lecture of sickness. So if you read this sickness in the Keynes lecture, there are clearly it has been mentioned that you have to consider the person as a whole, and if your remedy hits to the person as a whole, You don't have to bother about a little particular symptoms of a person or of the remedy. If it is not covered, don't bother. So that is the Kantian philosophy, and that Kantian philosophy is also reflected in this picture method of study of materia medica. Then the third demerit is lack of comparison at the various level. And again, the drawback, they are more objective. Their objective is to create a person as a whole. So they will again compare the similar appearing drugs. Like for example, they will describe what is the difference between natrum mur and what is the difference between ignatia. They will describe the difference between lycopodium and nux they will describe the difference between calcarea carb and sulfur. But all these differences will be at the level of only and only generals like mental general, physical general, and mainly again the comparison at the particular level is missing. Yesterday I have taken an example of three drugs having the hemorrhagic tendencies. Like say, phosphorus is a drug having a hemorrhagic tendency. Sickle cord is a drug having hemorrhagic tendencies. Then arsenic is also having hemorrhagic tendency. So they will just give a incomplete idea, or they will just touch up that there is a hemorrhagic tendency or hemorrhagic diathesis in these drugs, but they will not touch the further details of this hemorrhagic tendency, like where exactly this hemorrhagic tendency is observed, at what part level, and this hemorrhagic tendency is more related with which disease level. I think somebody yesterday has asked this. Listen this example carefully. Now, arsenic has a hemorrhagic tendency at the level of GIT, and that will be manifested in hematemesis, that is vomiting of blood, or it will be reflected as a bleeding piles or bleeding hemorrhoids, bleeding external hemorrhoids. That is arsenic bleeding, and bleeding is more seen in the GIT. But this picture method will only focus on this hemorrhagic tendency, and they will not give specific place. And further, they will not compare the hemorrhage of arsenic with that of sickle cord or phosphorus. Then we'll take another example. Sickle cord is also having the drug having the hemorrhagic tendency or hemorrhagic diathesis. But this hemorrhagic diathesis is mainly related with female genital tract, and that hemorrhage is mainly seen at the level of uterus. And then this drug is well indicated in conditions like abortion, antepartum hemorrhages, menorrhagia, metrorrhagia, etc. So this comparison of sickle cord will be lacking in this picture type of method. We'll take one more example of phosphorus. Again, phosphorus is having the drug with hemorrhagic tendency, but the hemorrhagic tendency of phosphorus will be more manifested at the level of respiratory system. Like it will be hemoptysis. Hemoptysis means what? Blood in the sputum. It will be blood from the nose. It will be bleeding from the capillaries of nose. It will be breakage of bronchial capillaries, and then that phosphorus will be indicated. So this is how the picture type of method just touches up the hemorrhagic tendency, mentions that these drugs are also having hemorrhagic tendency, but they do not go to the details of this hemorrhage at various organ level or at various disease level. So this is the demerit. I think now it is clear. So because of this two demerits, overlooking the particular symptom or lack of comparison at the various level, the next method has been generated, or the necessity of one more method of study of materia medica was spared, and that was the comparative method of study of homeopathic materia medica. That we will see. But before going to that comparative study of materia medica, just remember this demerit as given way has been created the necessity of comparative method of study of homeopathic materia medica. For the time being, we just see the examples of this picture type of materia medica. Sorry for the disturbance. In examples, we have seen lecture on materia medica by Coral Denham, lecture on homeopathic materia medica by James Tyler Kane, homeopathic drug pictures by Margaret Tyler, textbook of homeopathic materia medica by N.M. Chowdhury that we have discussed yesterday. Now, these two authors, Catherine Coulter and Philip Bennett, they have a very long title. I will just read their title for you: Portraits of Homeopathic Medicine, Psychophysical Analysis of Selected Constitutional Type by Catherine Coulter. So remember the name, and this is more modern authors following the Kantian line of study of homeopathic materia medica in the picture type. And one more recent advancement is homeopathic psychology, personality profile of major constitutional remedies by Philip Bennett. At this point, I will also emphasize that whenever you will write the answers of this short notes or long question, it is expected that you write the precise name of that book. Do not mistake in writing the precise name of the book. So just you have to remember this bigger names and the fuller name of the author. So with this, I conclude this picture method, and I will go to the next method, that is comparative method of study of homeopathic materia medica. So I just seen that there are certain drawbacks of the picture type of method, that it lacks comparison, and that lacking comparison is usually at the level of particular symptom. And we also studied the philosophy of homeopathic materia medica, and that philosophy of homeopathic materia medica is that one must also give emphasis on the individualization of a remedy or of the different remedy. Now, homeopathic physicians are not allowed to combine 2 or 3 medicines having similarity. For example, there is some injury and you are unable to differentiate it, whether it is a blunt injury, whether it is a nerve injury, whether it is an injury to the tendon. So it is not allowed that you will mix arnica, which is indicated for blunt injury. You will at the same time prescribe hypericum, which is a drug for injury of nerve, ruta, which is a drug for injury of tendons. So you cannot mix up all these 3 drugs and prescribe to the patient. This is absolutely unscientific, absolutely against the philosophy of homeopathy, and it is absolutely against the philosophy of homeopathic materia medica, which emphasize that drugs must be individualized, and if you read the preface of S.C. Allen, S.C. Allen has written a very beautiful sentence in his preface of Allen's keynote, that individualization of a remedy is a life work of homeopathic student. Now you understand the meaning of life work. That means it is a continuous. Whenever you wake up from your sleep, whenever you are seeing the patient, whenever you are eating, whenever you are talking, playing, you must go on continuously in mind. The individualization of remedy must be continued. And to achieve this aim of philosophy, or achieve this individualization, the comparative method of study of materia medica was felt the necessity, and there were a few good persons like Ernest Barrington has introduced this method of study of homeopathic materia is later on popularized by persons like H. Gross. That means they are going to also study in the examples names of the books given by this two person, that is Ernest Harrington and H. Gross. Now, before going further, let me clear you that all these methods of study of homeopathic mathematics are not hobbies of the different persons. They were the necessities felt from time to time in the evolution of subject of homeopathic mathematics. And so we are also previously seen that limitation of anatomical schematic method has given rise to keynote method of study of homeopathic mathematics. Limitation of keynote type of mathematics has given rise to picture type of study of mathematics, and the limitations of picture type of study of mathematics given rise to the comparative method of study of mathematics. So now we'll see the details of this method. Now comparison. What is the meaning of comparison? So when we compare two things, we have to compare what is the similar in between these two things and what is the dissimilar in between these two things. As it is our mathematics, we will study similarity at the level of symptoms in between two remedies and dissimilarities at the level of dissimilarities of two remedies. So that is the practical meaning of individualization. We can write pages and pages under this heading of individualization, but the practical implementation of individualization philosophy in the homeopathic mathematics, that you must be thoroughly knowing the similarity and dissimilarity of various drugs or various remedies of homeopathic mathematics. And this comparisons or these similarities and dissimilarities are at various levels. When we read a remedy, when we learn a remedy, or when we study a remedy, this comparison goes at the different level. So the first similarity is at the level of drug. Another comparison is at the level of disease. Another comparison is at the level of symptom. Another comparison is at the level of organ. Then we study this comparative method details one by one. What is the meaning of similarities at the level of drug? That means we are going to compare the drugs having similar pathogenesis. Now let me at this point explain what is the meaning of this word pathogenesis. Now in this word pathogenesis, pathos means abnormal, pathos means some structural alterations at the level of tissue, and genesis means generation. So pathogenesis means the ability of various homeopathic remedies to produce various kinds of pathologies at the level of tissues or various kinds of structural alterations at the level of tissues. I think you have understood what is the meaning of pathogenesis. So this word will again and again come in all the lectures of homeopathic mathematics. So if we study Hippar and Silicium, there is a common pathogenesis. Both these drugs are good for the various pathologies of suppurations, various pathologies of inflammations and infections leading to suppuration, and we will have certain pathologies like boils, abscess, furuncles, carbuncles, etc. under this Hippar and Silicium, and we will find out what is the similarity between Hippar and Silicium and what is the dissimilarity between Hippar and Silicium. Similarly, one more example is Maxphos and Colocin. So Maxphos and Colocin has a common pathogenesis of producing colicky type of pain where there is a hollow viscera. Coloviscera means usually the coloviscera is gastrointestinal tract. Remember your anatomy. It starts from esophagus, then stomach, small intestine, large intestine, rectum, anus, everywhere it is a hollow. And these drugs, macros and colocin, produces a colicky type of pain. It produces colicky. Colic means what? The pathology behind it is the spasm. Spasm, and at what tissue level it is happening? Spasms of the muscles of this hollow viscera. I think you remember the histology of GIT. It has three layers, and in that one layer there is a circular muscle fibers, and these drugs, macros and colocin, produces spasms of this circular muscle fibers. And in the comparative method, at the level of drug, we study what is the similarity and dissimilarity of macros and colocin in producing this spasm of spasms of circulatory muscles of GI. The next level is disease level. Disease level means we are going to compare two drugs at the level of certain disease. Now, rhinitis is a disease. I will explain you what is this disease. Rhinitis means inflammation and infection of nasal mucous membrane by certain kinds of pathological organs. It may be bacteria, it may be virus. And the symptoms of this rhinitis is all of us suffer from this rhinitis. So it is very common symptoms, that is nasal discharges from nasal mucous membrane, and that is nothing but this disease called as rhinitis. In textbooks of ENT, it is described as acute rhinitis, chronic rhinitis, ostomacal rhinitis, allergic rhinitis, etc. So this rhinitis, so there are two drugs, allium cepa and euphrasia, producing symptoms which are similar like that of a rhinitis. So at the disease level, we will study the similarity and dissimilarity of these drugs. So similarity of these two drugs is that they are producing a kind of nasal discharges, and dissimilarity is that allium cepa has acrid nasal discharges, and along with that acrid nasal discharges, the discharges from the eyes are very bland. They are not non-irritating type of discharges, and it is aggravated in the open air. So I am again repeating, allium cepa rhinitis is nasal discharges which are irritating type of discharges with bland means non-irritating discharges from eyes which are aggravated. Aggravated means which are increased when going in the open air. So these are indications of allium cepa rhinitis. Then another drug, euphrasia, also has this nasal discharges and discharges from the eyes. Now we are going to, so this is the similarity in between this allium cepa and euphrasia. Both drug produces nasal discharges and lacrimation, that is discharge from eyes. And what is the difference between these two? So allium cepa will have acrid discharge, and euphrasia, acrid discharge from nose, and euphrasia will have bland non-irritating discharge from nose, and opposite to the allium cepa, it will have excoriating discharges from the eyes, and both these discharges, that is acrid discharges from eyes and non-acrid discharges from nose, is better in the open ear. So exactly these two drugs are opposite when we think of disease like rhinitis. Then one more comparison is at the level of symptom level. So burning is one symptom, and so many drugs are producing this symptom burning. But I will take example of arsenic album and sulfur. These are the very good drugs having this burning sensation all over the body. So that is a similarity. Then what is a dissimilarity? Arsenic album will have burning, which is better by application of cold, and sulfur will have burning, which is better by application of heat. Again repeating, similarity between arsenic album and sulfur is burning, and dissimilarity is in their modality. Arsenic album burning is better by cold, sulfur burning is better by hot. Then this comparison is also at the level of organ. Example, GIT. I have taken. So many drugs are having this GIT. Drugs like, there are two drugs I have taken, allosopratina and podophyllin. Similarity is what? Both these drugs produces a kind of diarrhea. But the difference is that allos diarrhea will be sticky type of diarrhea. Sticky means chicken. Sticky means having containing the mucus, and podophyllum will have a watery type of diarrhea. So remember, I am again repeating the similarity and dissimilarity. Similarities of both these drugs producing allos and podophyllum are producing acting on the GIT. The difference is that the allos will have sticky, the diarrhea containing the mucus, and podophyllum will have a diarrhea which is watery in nature. So in this comparative method, the comparisons are carried out at this various levels. Comparison is at the level of drug pathogenesis, comparison is at the level of disease, comparison is at the level of symptom, comparison is at the level of organ, and the ultimate aim of all this method is toward individualization of various remedies and coming to a single medicine at a time. Then merits and demerits. Merit is what? Very excellent, very good for the differentiation purpose, because the individualization we can do with the help of such type of books. When we study a group of remedies, and in that group of remedies we will be able to differentiate this drugs. And say for example, if a patient comes for rhinitis, and in that rhinitis two drugs are forthcoming, Cepa and Euphrasia. Now being a good homeopathic physician, we will try to differentiate in between these two drugs. We will not give Cepa and Euphrasia in a combination. So this comparative study of homeopathic America will come to our help. Then similarity and dissimilarity is given at one place. In anatomical schematic method or in keynote method, the similarity and dissimilarity is scattered throughout the pages of that book. One similarity will be given at page number 10, another similarity will be given on page number 100, and the dissimilarity will be mentioned on the page number 200. So by the time we go to the page number 200, we have already forgotten the similarity, dissimilarity mentioned on the page number 10. So this advantage, merit of this method is that similarities and dissimilarities are given at one place, and it is very easy to remember, and it is very handy for the purpose of differentiation of medicines and to give one single medicine. And the demerit of this method is it is very difficult to retain in mind the minute details. If you read the comparison by Ernest Farrington, this author compares so many remedies at a time, so many remedies. For example, if he is differentiating apis mellifica, so apis mellifica is a drug of competitive materia medica having the symptoms of urine containing white albuminous discharge. And then on the single symptom, Ernest Barrington starts comparing, and he, at the same time, he not only compare one drug, two drugs, but he goes on comparisons in such a minute details. There are 20 pages of this only comparison of apis mellifica in the that Ernest Barrington book. And again, if you want to read this 20 pages, what happens? By the time you go to the 20 pages, you have forgotten where this comparison has started and where this comparison has ended. So such kind of minute details are very difficult to remember in the minds of the readers.